is Cody AI. It's a VSCode extension from Sourcegraph. I don't know if you've heard about this company. Sourcegraph is it's an existing company with a different product for developers, but this is their new thing that they're now doing, basically. So it's supposed to be the like a coding assistant tool, but it goes, I think, beyond what you currently have in Copilot and Code Whisperer and other sort of tools like this. And I'll show you what exactly I mean by that. But basically, they have additional features beyond what you can have from the other products. So which is why I think I will be using it. And it's backed by so the language model they use is the Anthropic's Cloud version 2. So that's not GPT-4 based. It's a different language model, but it's still pretty good. All right, let's jump into the demo. So basically, I have here some code here. This is Rust. I've been learning Rust recently. And I'm basically going to try to do some things with this program here using Cody, which is already installed in my VS Code. So basically, first let's start with this. So we have some function here, right? And we don't know what it's doing. I wrote it, but who knows? What we can do is I can select this function here and use a shortcut for enabling the Cody commands. And now I have here some options. So for example, I can be like, hey, document this code. And what's going to happen is going to pop up this thing on the left where, let's start from the very beginning. So it's using this documentation command with the context that I selected from the file. It shows you which file it sent to the language model, just one file in this case. And then here's the output for documentation that I asked. So documentation says, so just copy it to the file here. So it basically was able to identify that this function here simplifies the given path string by collapsing dot and dot dot references. So I guess maybe to explain a bit better, basically what this function here does, if I have a path like /home /abc dot dot /xyz, I would like to get back from this, I would like to get back home xyz. This is called like the canonical path or simplified path. So that's what this function does here. And so it was able to explain to me and create documentation for this function. And then within here, let's say I have some implementation, vector-based implementation for whatever, how this function works. I don't have any test coverage, but I would like to have test coverage. So what I can do now, again, I can select, use a shortcut, and I say, hey, generate some unit tests for this, please. And it's going to now, on the left side here, again, use the context from the file and generate the unit tests right away. And so this is sort of kind of similar, I guess, to how you could be using ChatGPT, except you have all the context from your code base available right away. And you can also, it's not just code generation, obviously, you can also like chat with it and ask questions. How do unit tests work in Rust or something like this? And it's going to answer, of course, using English and all that. So it's not just coding, it's also general language model as well. So let's copy the unit tests into the program. So now we have them here. We can check that they run tests.
Can I ask
yeah,
about the unit test here? Can you follow up with a chat message like, can you please generate a test that uses this example and then give it like a path? Can it do conversationally like modify the previous results?
Oh yeah, so for that scenario, okay, so I'm going to come back. Answer is yes, but I'm going to show you how to do it with a different example. So just to confirm that the test passed and all the tests that it created ran okay, so the tests were good, so code worked out of the box. So now I have test coverage. And so to your example, JD, so I have here a separate example. So the tests here are already generated, but here I have my code here where I call this function by I basically hard-code a path, right? I call my simplify path function, print the results. But what I actually want to do is I want to take the path from the command line instead. So I actually want to modify this code here. So instead of going through the chat functionality, there's another way I could use Cody, where again I can select this code and I open an inline chat with this particular section of the code. And I can say dash fix. So dash fix here, slash fix means that I want to get back a diff for this code. Instead of just having a reply, I want to have a diff where I can say, hey, implement the to do, because I already have the to do comment in the code. I don't have to explain again what exactly I need to do. I just say, hey, implement the to do. But I can also explain, additional stuff for what exactly I would like. So I do ask Cody for this. Now it's going to do some processing in the background again. And okay, so here's how it's different. So see, now it has this additional commands here. Fix up is ready, apply, show diff, or discard. So let me close the Cody here and open show diff. So basically, in this case, instead of just giving me a bunch of code, the Cody sent me back a diff for this particular block of code, like how exactly it wants me to change it. So in this case, it replaces my to-do comment and my hard-coded path with a call to the args function to get the command line arguments, gets the first one and calls my function simplify path. And so it's basically exactly what the to-do comment asked for. So now I can go back to the code and say apply. And now I have applied the diff, and my code changed the way that I asked to be changed. So to answer your question, so if you want to modify the code further, you could either continue chatting here, or if you copy it to your file, you can say, hey, I don't like, you can select the test case and be like, hey, I don't like this, change something about this. So basically you can then continue the modifications in line with your source file. At least that's, I think, one way to do it. You see there's multiple ways here. Okay, so hold on. Do you have anything else you wanted to demo? Convert. We'll skip that one. Test, smell. Yeah, I'll just pause here. Sort of, what do you guys think so far about these additional kind of user interface interaction modes as opposed to just chat?
Yeah,
I like it a lot.
I guess for me, it seems like there's now a lot of options for. It seems like this is part of a general category of AI assisted coding. GitHub Copilot, just literally copy pasting code into ChatGPT in a tool like this. I guess, relative to the other offerings, does this seem like something that is particularly differentiated compared to what else is out there?
I think so. I've been sort of already thinking that there has to be more functionality like this in these extensions. My prediction is both Copilot and Code Whisperer and other code assistant tools are going to basically copy this presentation. Because these are basic. Oh yeah. So one thing I forgot to mention: this is a open source. So the VSCode extension is open source. So obviously the language model is not, but the VSCode extension is. And so the VSCode extension is what defines all these sort of UI interface details, like different flows and prompts and how to apply the results from the language model to the source code, which files to select. So I think this is a step forward, and I'm pretty sure that other tools are going to copy this, because this is definitely the step forward. Like Cody right now looks like the next version of what Copilot was like last year. So I mean, right now it's differentiated, but I think it will be copied. So you can try Cody. You can wait for Copilot to do this as well. I guess up to you.
This seems better than Copilot. Like I already want to switch, I guess, depending on the cost. I currently pay $10 a month for Copilot, but it's very basic of just code completion, which was amazing 6 months ago, but now my expectations are higher. And I want a pair programmer that I can have conversations with, saying, hey, pair programmer, remind me again, what's the syntax for defining a TypeScript type? Because I'm kind of learning a new language with my current project. I can't really do that with just plain old code completion, or it's more clunky, I guess, to set up that type of question answer scenario. So I really like their UI, where it's this interactive pipeline where the human interjects themselves at various points throughout the file, as opposed to write a comment, all right, implement the thing, and then boom, you just get the final answer automatically spit out on the screen. I like this more highlight if you highlight just one single line, can you say change da da da, and it only changes just whatever that one line you've got highlighted?
Yeah, I mean, so it uses the selection for the diff logic. Yeah. So here, I'll give you a final example. So let's say I want to replace this match, this switch match statement with if and else and stuff. So let's say replace match with if else. So we just replace just this part of the code. So it's very selective about that.
I like that. Yeah, this is a better interface than Copilot, in my opinion.
Here, and now I have refactored my match into if statements. So yeah, it can do refactoring. So I also try doing like variable renamings and like refactorings of other kinds. So yeah, it's beyond generation. So that's so I guess so this is then the presentation. And I guess so besides this particular tool, my bigger point here is that we're extremely in the early days of how to productionize language models for code tasks. There is still like enormous amount of things you can do and invent, and low-hanging fruits for how to use these tools for efficiency. So stay tuned is my point.